Okay, let's dive into a conflict that is completely flipping the script on modern warfare. Seriously, this is a story where decades of smart strategic thinking and some really clever, low-cost engineering are going head-to-head with the world's most expensive military hardware. And the results? Well, they're not what anyone expected. So, here's the big puzzle we're going to unpack. You have a nation, Iran, that's been under crushing sanctions for years. It gets hit with a direct strike that takes out its leadership. Everyone, and I mean everyone, expected them to just crumble. But instead, they pushed back, and they pushed back hard. How is that even possible? What did the world's superpowers get so wrong?
And that surprise, that complete shock, leads us right into our first section. The initial days of this conflict sent absolute shockwaves through the global defense community. It just completely upended everything they thought they knew. So picture this. It's February 28th. The world watches as this combined US-Israeli strike takes out Iran's top leaders. The thinking in war rooms across the globe was pretty simple. Okay, game over. But what actually happened was a fierce, coordinated counteroffensive. American bases were hit, commercial hubs like Dubai were targeted, and get this, even the $7 billion USS Abraham Lincoln, a floating fortress, was targeted and forced to reposition. Iran didn't just take the punch, it punched back, and it hit hard. Now I want you to just look at this number for a second. $1.1 billion. It's a staggering amount of money, right? Well, it also represents a single devastating loss for the United States in this fight. That $1.1 billion? That was the price tag on the U.S. Space Force's most advanced early warning radar in the entire Middle East. This thing could scan the skies for 5,000 kilometers. It was the eye in the sky. Or, well, it was. Iranian missiles turned it into a billion-dollar scrap heap. This was the moment everyone realized this was not the war they'd planned for.
Which brings us to the absolute core of Iran's strategy. See, this isn't just about blowing things up. It's a war of economics. It's about making defense so ridiculously expensive that your opponent literally runs out of money and ammo before you do.
And this is where the math of this war just gets insane. Look at this. Iran's main offensive tool, the Shahed 136 drone, costs maybe $20,000 to make. But to shoot just one of them down, you often need a Patriot interceptor missile, which costs a cool $4 million. You don't need a PhD in economics to see how unbelievably lopsided that is.
So what does this actually mean on the battlefield? It means for every single dollar Iran spends to launch an attack, the US and its allies have to spend between $20 and $28 just to defend against it. Think about that. You can successfully intercept every single drone and missile, win every single engagement, and still go completely broke in the process.
And listen, this is not just some theory. It's happening. A Bloomberg report revealed that after that first wave of attacks, Qatar had to privately warn the U.S. that if the attacks kept coming at that rate, their entire multi-billion-dollar stockpile of Patriot interceptors would be gone, completely empty, in just 4 days. That's what an economic war looks like in real time. It's a brutal race against depletion.
But you gotta be asking, where did this incredibly cheap but effective arsenal even come from? I mean, you can't just buy this stuff off the shelf. Well, the answer is a wild story of espionage, reverse engineering, and, well, a little bit of cosmic irony.
You can't make this up. Back in 2011, Iran somehow got its hands on one of America's most advanced top-secret stealth drones, the RQ-170 Sentinel. They didn't just study it, they took it apart piece by piece and reverse engineered the whole thing, creating their own family of drones. The most famous one, of course, is the Shahed 136. And now for the kicker. The US is now being forced to develop its own low-cost drones, which are basically a copy of Iran's copy of the original US drone. Yeah, America is now copying its own tech once removed.
And the Shahed 136 itself is just a masterclass in effective simplicity. It's not particularly fast or high-tech, but it has a massive range, and its real power is in the tactic. They don't just send one, they launch them in huge swarms, dozens or even hundreds at a time, specifically designed to overwhelm and confuse any air defense system they come up against.
It's also super important to understand that this capability didn't just appear out of nowhere. This is the result of a 40-year strategic project that Iran started way back in 1984. With help from countries like North Korea and China, they patiently built this entire self-sufficient weapons program from the ground up, all while the world was trying to stop them with sanctions.
So, we've got the economic strategy, and we've got the clever weapons. Now let's look at the tactics on the ground.
How do these cheap drones and missiles actually defeat something as legendary and sophisticated as Israel's Iron Dome?
First off, you really have to appreciate what Iran is up against here. Israel has one of the world's most advanced air defense networks. It's not just one system, it's multi-layered. You have the Arrow system way up high for ballistic missiles, then David's Sling for the medium-range threats, and then, of course, the famous Iron Dome for anything coming in low and fast. It's a technological fortress in the sky.
So how do you beat a fortress like that? Iran's answer is a brilliantly simple tactic they call volley firing. Instead of sending one kind of missile, they launch everything at the exact same time. We're talking hundreds of slow drones, low-flying cruise missiles, and super-fast ballistic missiles all timed to arrive in the same window. It creates an absolute nightmare for the defenders.
And here's the genius of it. Those cheap $20,000 drones, they're basically just bait. They fly in first and soak up all the attention, forcing the defense to fire off its multi-million-dollar interceptors at these low-value targets. All that chaos and wasted ammo creates gaps in the shield, and that's when the real threats, the powerful ballistic missiles, come screaming through to hit their targets.
When you start to pull all these pieces together, the economics, the reverse-engineered weapons, the tactics, you realize we're not just watching a conflict. We're witnessing the dawn of a totally new era of warfare, an era where clever thinking can be far more powerful than a blank check.
And Iran's smart thinking goes way beyond just their attack strategy. I mean, at one point, Israel wasted incredibly expensive missiles, blowing up what turned out to be just paintings of jets on a runway. For decades, Iran has been building entire underground missile cities to protect its arsenal. And maybe the scariest part? They haven't even used their best stuff yet. Weapons like the hypersonic Fatah II missile, they're still waiting in reserve.
And this whole situation presents a fascinating and, frankly, a very tough choice for other nations around the world. Take a country like India, for example. For about $3.5 billion, they could go out and buy 31 top-of-the-line American Predator drones. Or, for the exact same amount of money, they could build an arsenal of roughly 70,000 Iranian-style kamikaze drones. Do you go for elite quality or overwhelming quantity? That is the new question every military is having to ask itself.
Which leaves us with this final, crucial thought. For decades, modern warfare has been all about the smart bomb, about precision, high technology, and spending more money than your enemy. But this conflict forces us to ask a really fundamental question. When your opponent's greatest weapon is just thinking, what is a smart bomb really worth?